In November of 2023, I had my first $10,000 month. In December, I closed my first $10,000 client. And this month, I'm on track to reach my first $20,000 month ever. I tell you this not only to build some credibility in your mind, but also to give you this message. Stop lowballing yourself and charge high ticket. All right. So I used to think that having 20 to 30 clients, making about $500 to $1,000 per client a month was the dream, right? That's what I thought it took to run a successful business. However, the amount of work that it took for me to bring on one more client just to see another leave drove me insane. In this video, I'm going to break down the tweaks and changes that I made to my business, my mindset, the way I showed up to reach $10,000 to $20,000 months with just 3 to 5 clients at a time. When I first started Delta Lead as a lead generation agency at the beginning of 2023, I thought that recurring revenue was the holy grail, like everything you want out of the business. And to some degree it is, right? It's really important to have recurring revenue. It's very helpful to generate, additional income passively in some cases, which is nice. And, having 20 to 30 clients paying you 500 or 1,000, that means you're making 10 to 30 grand months at a time. That's the goal, right? Well, I definitely thought so. However, this approach has big drawbacks. And really the main ones are you have to get out there and do so much outreach. We're talking 4+ hours a day to bring in the amount of client volume that you actually need to sustain your business, right? Bring in new clients, get them onto a monthly recurring revenue contract, move them forward. It takes maybe 3 to 5 clients a month to close to help you get the revenue you actually need. I also found myself just constantly scrambling in these engagements to find more ways to provide new value so my clients wouldn't churn the next month, right? And even in some scenarios, they would come in and they would learn everything that I was doing when it came to lead generation. I was solving a commoditized problem. They said, oh, I can just do this myself now. And they would cancel, right? They go off and do it on their own. Or also, I'm not sure if you might have been there, but I was managing about 7 to 10 clients at a time, which actually was driving me insane. Of course, you said I could have hired whatever that may be, but to manage those amounts of accounts, especially with different industries and challenges, it just became extremely difficult to actually deliver great results. And finally, because I was charging, $500 to $1,000, I had costs for each client. And that left me with pretty low profit margins, right? I was paying maybe $100, $200 per client, getting them set up with the software, getting systems in place, handling everything in-house. And I was only making $300 to $800 per client, which was not fun. Now, you might actually be an agency owner or a service provider who's in this situation right now, right? You're trying to get one more client at 500 a month, 1,000 a month. You keep bringing them on. Maybe you're swamped. Maybe you can't bring on enough volume that you need. Maybe you're stuck at between 3 to 5K revenue, right? I know exactly what it's like. I've been there. And that's the truth for most low ticket agency owners, coaches, consultants. And unfortunately, like I said, I know this from firsthand experience for 11 months of starting Delta Lead as a lead generation company. But I was still bringing in clients. I didn't want to fix a system that wasn't broken, right? But it was broken. I was spending so much time trying to generate new leads. I never really broke past even 7 clients at a time. I was only able to really generate about $3,000 to $4,000 maximum when I was doing lead generation, even when I put tons and tons of time into outreach and volume and trying to grow the business. And I was definitely keeping myself swamped at all times whenever I'd make a push to bring on new clients while still maintaining the clients that I currently had, making sure they're getting enough value and they weren't churning. And that's really when I made the change to focus on my skills, my offer, my beliefs, and the way that I managed my time to shift into a business that I originally envisioned when I became an entrepreneur, one that made it easy to reach time, location, and financial freedom. Let me walk you through the areas that I ultimately worked on to break free of the low ticket cycle, ultimately double my revenue, and cut the time that I was doing sales and service delivery by half. So first of all, let's dive into skills. So when I first started doing lead generation at the beginning of 2023, I was offering a pretty simple service, right? Just LinkedIn lead generation. I'd go out there, I would build lists for people of their target client, who they're trying to reach. I'd craft messaging and I'd plug it into campaigns, get them up and running and say, good luck, right? And the thing was, because I was doing simple lead generation, I had no way to differentiate myself from Joe Schmo down the street who was offering a very similar lead generation service, right? Going out there saying, we'll do client acquisition for you. We'll do this. I was just another lead generation agency. And because of that, my service was commoditized. And the good way to describe that is that service or product that's only distinguishable by price. And so what that means is because no one could really tell the difference. Oh, you're doing lead gen. Oh, you're doing lead gen. Everyone's saying they can get the same results. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go whoever's cheapest, right? It makes the most sense, right? If everyone's offering the same service, they're just going to get the best deal. The clients are going to look for that. And because of that, it means that prices were a race to the bottom. You know, it's a price war. Whoever could be the cheapest got the most business. And so who really succeeded from that model were larger companies who could offer a smaller ticket service and actually handle maybe 100 clients plus with an established team. Or it's well, there really are no other winners, right? It's the ones who can go the cheapest, survive the longest. I know a lot of companies, for most commoditized services, they can operate at a loss for years, right, before actually going profitable because they have funding and all that good stuff, right? And so that was not a good place to be. And so when it comes back to skills, I had to focus on how could I improve my skill set, you know, what I do to create something different, right? To offer more value in a different way than just offering one simple solution to a mass problem. And so what I started to do is I started to look at, okay, what problems came directly before lead generation, right? So it came down to, okay, maybe you need a better understanding of your avatar. Maybe you need a better understanding of how to actually position your offering, maybe offering a lead magnet, right? Those are some of the problems I started to come up with. And then what problems came after, right? And I know a big problem with some of my clients is they had trouble actually having conversations, moving things towards meetings and closing. And so I know that was also a big challenge. And so what I did is I spent a lot of time just focusing on developing my skills, learning more about the avatar, learning more about how to provide value and follow a framework when it came to lead generation, learning more about how to actually have a script and a sales process and just how the whole system kind of connected together, right? And so doing so, I became more valuable. My skill set had improved, but I hadn't quite yet found a way to actually capitalize on that and charge more revenue for my services. And that's when the offer came in. So covered skills, and then we're going to the offer, right? So what did I do with my offering to show up in a different way that made myself no longer commoditized? What I did was actually the first thing was going through Hormozi's $100 million offers, which is incredibly valuable book for any of you who haven't read it in the past. But really what it helped me do was it helped me formulate my own offering in a unique way. And what that looks like is because I was able to establish problems that the audience I was targeting faced, right? I said, oh, they have issues with actually figuring out who they're selling to. They have issues providing value. They have issues having a conversation over DM, having a sales call, right? Closing clients. And so, okay, I started to look at, you know, I'm starting to do all this for myself. My skill sets have just been improved. Now I can actually come in and help other people do the same. Create a process, a repeatable framework, which it wasn't quite a repeatable framework to start. I had to actually go in there and do a lot of hands-on work. But what this actually led to was the formulation of my high ticket offer, right? Because the thing was, instead of just solving a semi-urgent problem of getting more clients, you know, you could say that's a big problem for most people is getting more clients. I was solving multiple urgent problems in a transformation versus just solving one commoditized, you know, problem that somebody had. And so because I was able to solve these problems back to back to back to back, you know, avatar into offer, helping them craft their own offering, then going into outreach and then closing, I was creating a transformation. And also I then positioned myself as having a unique offering in the market. And so it wasn't a race to the bottom on price anymore because I was offering something so valuable, especially early on, getting in there and getting my hands dirty and taking more responsibility, because showing up and actually doing more hands-on work, more done for you work is more valuable for your clients in that case. So you're able to charge high prices, right? And so I created my first high ticket offering at the beginning of December. I had finished polishing it up after a couple beta clients, and I sold it at 10K in 5 days after going live with the offer to a cold lead on one call, right? And that's really one of the biggest things is like having that product market fit and solving multiple problems back to back to back to back instead of just offering one simple solution. So that covers the offering, right? I was able to come and position myself with a new offering that added in way more value. And even though I was getting out there first and getting more hands-on, that's the work I love doing. It's probably the work that you love doing as well, right? Actually spending time with your clients, but you may be just looking for recurring revenue and not recurring work. You just may be looking to show up and get another client into that 20 or 30 that you need to reach your first 10K month, right? But actually showing up and taking hands-on responsibility for the process is not only a lot more fulfilling, more enjoyable, I got paid a lot better to do it. Okay. And so that was offers. We covered skills and offers. Now, what was the next step? It was beliefs. When I first made that offer and it was going through the process of selling it to beta clients and trying to formulate my price, ended up landing on 10K as the initial. I was like, oh my gosh, like $10,000 like for one offer, like that's like half the price of a car. Like someone's gonna pay that to me. Like there were a lot of limiting beliefs that I had to surpass in terms of the value that I was actually bringing to my clients. Right. A big thing is I know I had the skills. I was taking time and building things out and how to process. But the biggest shift actually needed to come was beliefs. Right. And it really came with, first of all, shifting my identity into someone who does high ticket work, very professional work that handles a container of people. It's very, very high touch. They're going through an experience. They're getting amazing outcomes. A lot of that came from shifting my personal identity and who I was showing up as to actually be that person, right? I don't want to just be that lead gen guy, that agency guy, right? It's like really custom, very just bespoke, very high ticket service, helping you craft the same, right? And so that was one of the first steps. And then I also had to have some paradigm shifts. I had to look at my reality in a different way. I had to look at it. Okay, there are people who are bringing in, more income than the clients I'm serving, right? And they have a big need for these solutions, even if they're still bringing in income. Maybe they're bringing in 10K a month, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, but they aren't serving a niche. They don't have any lead generation systems. Maybe it's all from referrals. And there are people out there who would desperately pay $10,000 to have an entire system built out for them, hands on, right? It just depends on really identifying the avatar, of course, but also shifting the beliefs. Like, and a really, really big shift, actually, I first originally heard this from Sam Ovens, was like mirroring. I had to be willing to invest in a high ticket offering in order to be able to ask people to invest in a high ticket offering, right? And so, I hired a mentor, 6,600 for 3 months. This is actually after some first initial sales, but like I was open to the idea of a high ticket offer and found value in it, right? And so if I wasn't going to show up and purchase a high ticket offer, or at least see value in it, how are others expecting? How could I expect others to do the same, right? And so those are some big belief shifts that I changed. And to satisfy the more logical version of myself, I really focused in on, what kind of value was I providing? Well, if I could reach 10K months, I could also help others reach 10K months, 20K months in that range. And if they reach 10 to 20K months consistently for a year, that's 120 grand to 240 grand. When you look at it in the bigger picture of things, 10K is a very small investment in that, right? And so a good way to look at it is I would try to see like what is like 10 to 30% of an investment. It's like, so I would like basically go out there and charge like what 10 to 30% would be for results that I bring a client, right? So that's a good way that kind of my logical mind was a little bit satiated. But a really big shift that I know probably, even you watching might be dealing with, I know a lot of service providers are dealing with, is they don't think people are going to pay for a high ticket offer, right? They don't think someone's going to pay them $10,000 to go in and deliver a service for them. And you may not have the skills to do it yet, and that's fine. Take the time to focus on building your skills and process. But I can assure you, for those of you who are probably watching this, at least this far into the video, you're probably running some sort of business to this point. You probably already have a really nice skill set built up. It just comes down to being able to package it in a way and have belief in what you do, man. Like you have to value your value before anybody else is going to value you, right? And what you actually do. And so that was probably actually the biggest shift for me, is like actually believing and showing up that I could charge high ticket. People would pay it. They get great results. And you actually tend to find that the clients who pay the high ticket, high value clients, they're faster to make decisions, easier to sell to almost. And they really are faster to results, right? They have more skin in the game. They're more motivated to actually go out there and get results. And so those are the beliefs that I shifted, diving into the skills, the offer, and beliefs. Now, the last piece was actually time use, how I manage my time. And for so long, in the first 11 months of my agency doing lead gen, I was just focused on more clients, more sales, more marketing, more clients, more sales, more marketing. I didn't take a look at my product at all. I didn't take a look at my service. I didn't take a look at how to actually show up in a different way, right? And so what I actually had to do is I had to take, one step backwards to take 2 steps forward, right? And so taking that time to actually go through $100 million offers by Hormozy, build out my offering, really work on my skills, work on my beliefs, like spending time over the weekend and just like going full out meditation session, just like really diving into the root of what's stopping me, like what kind of scarce thoughts and doubts are stopping me from charging high ticket, right? Really diving into the core of that and taking the step back and spending my time in a more wise way to focus on building my product was more beneficial than I could have ever imagined. There's a quote from Abraham Lincoln. Hopefully, I get it exactly accurately, but it's when given, give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I'll spend the first four sharpening my axe. Right. So it's about really doing the prep work, the homework, understanding your avatar, understanding your offering, figuring out specifically what they desperately need, creating a transformational offer, solving your beliefs to fix that, and then spending the time to actually go out there and do that, right? It takes time to do that. You can't do that in your normal day to day, handling 5 clients here, 2 churn there, 3 came in here. I got to do more sales and marketing, pipeline slowing down. Like if you don't actually take the time to pull out of the business and what you're doing, then it's going to become very difficult to actually go out there and do it and make changes. And you might be saying, well, Gary, like how am I going to put food on the table? How am I going to make things happen, right? And that's a good question. I had to take out loans midway through last year to make sure I could pay bills and keep moving things forward, right? Not saying you go out there and get a job by any means. I think for some reason to me that seems like a form of defeat, but you have to find some way to come up and breathe and actually face time and focus on building a really fantastic product people want. And that's how you're actually able to show up and stop lowballing yourself and charge high ticket prices, right? And with that comes a ton of benefits. And so some of the big benefits I actually gained by moving towards this model was I had to do way less outreach to actually bring in the number of clients that I needed to continue to grow at a good pace, right? The volume I needed to bring on one new client was less. Of course, being more selective on that client is important, but I was doing less outreach. I was spending less time doing sales. I also had way larger profit margins per client. We're talking 94% plus versus, if I do some math here, what is it? Only 60%, maybe a little bit more than 60% per client because I had way larger ticket sizes. So the cost for software or things I was implementing were a lot higher. And I've actually gotten that pretty much close to 100% at this point for clients, removing fixed costs that I face in the business regardless. I had less clients to manage, overall, and which means I was able to put more time into actually focusing not only on the business, but also the clients themselves. I was able to get them better results, which means more case studies, more testimonials for the future, right? And so these are some of the big benefits that I actually received by moving towards this model. So all this is pretty much what I changed to go from needing 20 to 30 clients to survive and barely make ends meet to working with 3 to 5 clients, essentially doubling my revenue, cutting the time in the business in half, and just overall creating the business that I actually wanted from the beginning, right? When I first became an entrepreneur, working with a very select, highly valuable group of clients, right? And getting them an amazing result. And this really just scratches the surface of all the benefits that come from moving towards a high ticket offering versus doing low ticket work, right? And this is how you actually scale, right? This is how you reach 10K months, 20K months, 50K months by having large enough profit margins and enough time in the business to actually spend time working in the business, right? To where you can actually put systems in place, you can hire employees to come in and automate these processes, and you have enough capital to actually scale things, right? When you're doing this agency model or you're offering low ticket coaching consulting work, you barely have time to breathe, right? You're focused on next client, next client, next client, not enough profit margins to get you anywhere close to where you need to be. And it just doesn't give you the launch pad to reach success that you can actually reach. But the reality is here, if you continue to try and offer low ticket services, you will go insane. It is only a matter of time. You will probably have to hire maybe 20, 30 employees if you want to keep growing this model. And you also going insane that route. I haven't done it, but I've known a few others in the space, close partners who run agencies who face that conclusion, right? They're overwhelmed, they're swamped with having to manage and watch sales calls all day. It's just not a good time either way. And so with that being said, if you make these shifts to focus on improving your skills, improving your offering to be transformational rather than commoditized, working on your beliefs and actually showing up and charging high ticket and standing behind your offer with conviction, and showing up in a way to where you can actually manage your time better to make these actions and these steps happen, this is how you reach 5-figure months and beyond. And so if you don't do these things, it's just going to be difficult to break past $10,000 a month quickly, at least, right? Because as soon as I implemented these changes in my business to these 4 foundational pieces, my business started to explode. Not only did I reach my first $10,000 month, it also allowed me to close my first $10,000 client. and move towards my first 20K month here this month in May. So that being said, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more about the process of actually creating your high ticket offer, getting up and running, getting it validated, getting selling, I actually have a free community called High Ticket Product Market Fit. You can check it out on the link below. I have an entire course breaking down every single step you need to get from step 0 to step 10, which in this case, 10 would be a 10K month, right? So highly recommend you go check it out, go through the processes. We're going to be hosting free Q&A calls, and I'm really, really confident in help you get the results that you're looking to get out of your business and stop lowballing yourself to charge high ticket prices. That being said, it's been a pleasure. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care.